We are live, Bala.
Hey, hello and welcome to Pittsburgh.NET user group. Today, you can join our group here. The links are available here for the meetup, Twitter and LinkedIn for our upcoming sessions. Okay, we are delighted to have you all today to learn and discuss about semantic kernel. During the next hour, we'll hear from our invited expert speaker. Nothing new. He's Anish Gopalakrishnan, who will be sharing his knowledge and experience. Anish is a seasoned professional working more than 2 decades of experience, mostly focused on Microsoft and front-end stack like Angular, React, and other stuff. We're fortunate to have him here. And today's agenda, we will be looking into the semantic kernel, the lightweight open source SDK, and help us integrate with the LLMs like OpenAI, Hugging Face, etc., from conventional programming languages like C#, Python, Java, etc. He's going to have some cool demos, which you've seen in the past. We will also have a Q&A at the end of the webinar, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat, so we'll be able to answer them. If you have encounter any issues, please throw the messages in the chat box. Here, let me include Anish. Anish, welcome.
Hi. Hello. How are you? You can hear me, right?
Yes, it's all good. I will share your screen.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. You can share the screen now. The screen is shared, isn't it? Because
yes, we are all good.
Since it's a PowerPoint, it takes both of my monitors, so I have no idea what's going on.
I think, can you hit that close or something in the bottom of the bar?
Okay, all right. So you can see the PowerPoint slide. Says semantic kernel scratching the surface, right?
Yes, it's all good.
Perfect. Okay. Hey, thanks for joining me today, everyone.
Anish, can you click the hide on the bottom bar? It's still showing there.
Sure.
Yep, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So, good evening. Thank you for joining me today to talk about semantic kernel. It's a fancy name. As you folks are, I'm learning too on this. This is a very new kid on the block. It was on preview last year, so it's something new. It actually plays well with Chat GPT kind of things, right? So we will get into that in a little bit. So to start off, so this is my QR code to my LinkedIn. If anyone wants to connect, I will show it towards the end of the presentation too. Let's start. So before we talk about semantic kernel, let's spend maybe 10-15 minutes to focus on why would we need something like semantic kernel. They say that it's a lightweight SDK which you can integrate into our existing applications and source code and things like that. So why do we need it? We can do most of the things using ChatGPT and the rest of the models, the vision models, the audio models and things like that, right? So let's talk a little bit about the basics, right? So these slides are actually from Microsoft, which they supply to the trainers. So we're going to start off with this. We will look into some of these slides, and then we will pivot and take a very different direction, right? So to start this, you already know the models, which actually takes a n token prompt. If you could see my cursor, it takes in an n token prompt and produces an m token completion, right? So these models work by estimating the probability of the next word. So we call them generative AI models. It's also good to call them predictive AI models. All they do is they predict the next token, and we will talk about tokens in just a bit. Okay, so why we talked about the M and N here is that, you see, their pricing itself has input tokens and output tokens. So this is a very important thing, that these models eat tokens and spit tokens, and we will talk about tokens in a bit, right? So this is how it happens behind the scenes, right? The natural language input we give to these models, what it does is, it could be plain English, it could be even an image, it could be whatever. What it does is it analyzes them and then produces tokens. Tokens are not words, but very similar to words, right? Some of the words can become token if the words are not familiar to the model. The model may split it into several tokens of that. So I believe the slide is quite self-explanatory. So this is how the tokens are generated, and then the results becomes numbers, right? So why numbers? We will talk about that in a moment. So now, yeah, this we talked about already. So if you take the sentence, we need to stop anthropomorphizing ChatGPT. I think I pronounced that right. So it has 11 tokens. You can see that the we need stop to all of that is one token, because the model already understands those words and it counts them to one token. But the complex word anthropomorphizing ChatGPT is actually split into three tokens, because it's not a common word. It doesn't know that. I mean, it probably knows that, but it needs to split that, because that's how these models work. So now, how does these things work, right, behind the scenes? As I said, even though we call them generative AI models, the right term for that would be predictive AI model. So they just predict the next token. So you see that if you type in, say, we need to, and ask it to predict the next word, it will look at a large set of tokens and pick one of the most probable ones. I say one of the, because every time you ask a question, it produces a different results because of that. The second time, it may pick a different token to go with it. So this is how it actually predicts things, and this is how the sentence gets completed. All right. So if you're looking for the same result twice, so we need to stop, it picked up, it can do, say, try, it look at all the probabilities. We need to stop buying, we need to stop anthropomorphizing chat gpt and things like that. So it looks at all the probabilities, and then as I said, picks the most appropriate one, right? So how it does it is, behind the scenes, it has a vector database in several dimensions. I don't know the internals of it, because we are all users. Even semantic kernel is a user to the system. So we are all users, and the internals work with it. All these tokens are mapped into a vector database. All these tokens are mapped into numbers. As you could see, these array of numbers are mapped into several dimensions, and it kind of picks the next number, and that number represents the next token it can produce. Right. So these models do have temperatures and creativity and all of that, you already know. So that can also be adjusted. So now, okay, let's talk about semantic kernel a little bit before we start writing some code, right? So now we kind of understand how. Oh, before we do that, right? Just let me show you a small thing. 1 second. All right. Okay. Here. Okay. So this is the real chat gpt, right? So I'm just going to say, complete this sentence. All right, no mistake. Sorry. Complete this sentence. I like to go to. Right. So let's see what it's going to come up with. So it says that I like to go to beach to relax and enjoy the sound of waves. So where does it pick? To the beach to relax and enjoy the sound of waves is exactly what we were talking about before. It was picking from the universe of the data it is trained on to pick the next words for me, right? Now, what if I just limit the model? What if I just tell the model that, hey, limit it to a specific context? So here I'm going to tell it that I like tech events on meetup.com, right? So now I'm going to ask the same question, right? So complete the sentence. I like to go to, and let's see what he says. See, it changed the context. So now from the whole universe of picking words from, it confined that to a specific context. They call it meta prompting. They call it meta prompting and prompt engineering and whatnot. But at the end of the day, this is something you can also do with semantic kernel, and you can do it very extensively. I will show you that in a demo. Okay, let's go back to the presentation, right? Okay, now let's talk a little bit about what is semantic kernel, right? The term is fancy. Yeah, it sounds something like, an operating system, but it's an SDK and a lightweight. They call it lightweight open source SDK. It helps you build agents. Right? We will come back to what agents are. Yeah, it helps you build agents and plugins actually that can call your existing code. That means that I may be writing a lot of ASP.NET code, MVC code, C# code or libraries, APIs. This can actually call that. And then what's the point of calling that? We will come back to that later too. So now what is highlighted here is what is important. It can actually operate with different models. That's great. It doesn't have to be OpenAPI. So you can use semantic kernel with these three languages right now, maybe more later. And you can see that Microsoft itself uses semantic kernel to power its Copilot system. So they have pretty much Copilot for everything. They say that they use semantic kernel for that. The key term here is AI orchestration. So semantic kernel is, in short, is an AI orchestration SDK. So we will come back to what AI orchestration is. It just talking to these models is pretty simple. As we saw, you ask a question, you get the answer back, but how do you integrate into the existing applications we already built, the mobile apps, the ASP.NET web services? We have written a lot of methods, the libraries, the C# libraries we built. We're not going to talk about Python or Java today. We are going to talk about C#. So how do we use these models side by side with the functions, the methods, the libraries, the APIs we built to do a specific job for us using natural language processing? That is what an AI orchestration means here, right? So now Microsoft is already doing it. So with the semantic kernel SDK, which is made available as open source, we can also do this. So they have an Outlook Copilot right now, I believe. So we can also do something similar, something to send emails and stuff like that. We will have, if time permits, a demo of that towards the end of it. So now, see, plugins, you see this word plugins, which I highlighted. So I actually took the screenshot directly from the semantic kernel website, Microsoft Learning website, and hosted, right? So the word plugin, they say, is your existing code. So the word plugin is just a fancy word for your existing code. That's all you need to understand. So the moment I say plugin, it's something you already wrote, or you're going to write, or you're planning to write. It's just a method. That's it. It's just a C# method you can utilize with the large language models. So now, all right, okay, let's jump to a small demo, and then we come back to maybe 2-3 slides later, right? Okay.
Anish, there was one question.
Okay. will have coding beyond current Microsoft documentation, will have coding beyond current Microsoft documentation today? I didn't quite get that question, Eduardo. What do you mean by that? So what you're saying here is, are we looking at something beyond Microsoft documentation today?
I think so. Like most of your demos, are you following the documentation or some more code that you would expose?
Yeah, we will build something our own, but we are not going to build a huge agent or any of that for sure. Okay.
Okay, that's good.
All right.
Thanks.
So I'm just gonna start writing some code here. So before we do that, so as we talked, we have few pieces to the puzzle, right? So one is we need a model, that's for sure. Number two, we need semantic kernel, which is our orchestrator. Number three, we need them to shake hands to make this magic happen, right? So now, where is the model coming from, right? So that part is actually in Azure, right? So let me show you how we can create the model piece of it, right? So let me just log into Azure on my other screen, and then I'm gonna uh, come back to it. Just give me a moment. All right, create a resource. Oh, okay. So we are going to use Azure OpenAI service today. We can directly use OpenAI service. As you could see, you can use other models too. Not the semantic kernel is not about OpenAI. You can use other models too with it, right? Pretty much using the same syntax. Maybe the creation part of it would be different. So let's say we are creating OpenAI Azure instance here. So the first step you're going to do is we will create an Azure OpenAI service. I already created one for the demo purposes, but this is just to show you that how you are going to do it, right? So you create um, an Azure OpenAI service, and then the next step is going to be you actually deploy it. The way you deploy that Azure OpenAI service. So this is how a service would look like, right? At the end of the day, once this is a service I created for the demo purpose. So once this is created, how do you develop is using this actually, right? So you get a key, you get an endpoint, as you could see, you get an endpoint, you get a key, and then the last piece of the puzzle you need is right. Okay, 1 second. You can go to the AI Studio to deploy it. Actually, this is already deployed. The model is already deployed, and the deployment name. These are the three things you need for semantic kernel to connect with Azure OpenAI models, right? So this Azure OpenAI Studio will have that deployment. You can create more than one deployment. So here I'm going to quickly show you how to create a deployment. I already deployed one. I can show you that too. Give it a moment. Okay, here. If you go to the deployments, you could see my deployment is already here. It succeeded before. But if you create a new deployment, you can choose from different models to do the deploy, and this 4.0 just came out. I'm going to choose that. You can give the deployment name and then press create, will create a new deployment, and this is the result of that. All of these three things is what we need to build a model connection from semantic kernel. So now let's write a little bit of code, right? So variable, I will explain what these pieces are in a moment, right? Okay. So um, the Copilot is actually giving me good suggestions because I already wrote some code to practice, right? So now these are the three pieces of the puzzle, and the builder is the builder pattern. This is nothing but we are saying the kernel, hey, do a builder, and then we're gonna attach a couple of things to it. One of that is the model, right? So now um, I'm gonna take that suggestion actually, right? Okay. Uh, let's right? The key and that. Okay, as I said, the three pieces of the puzzles are the deployment name, which you've seen in Azure AI Studio. There is a key, which you've seen when you're creating the Azure AI service, and endpoint, which you've seen while you were creating the Azure AI service. So I have that already configured elsewhere, so I don't want to display that here. I have that configured elsewhere, so I'm going to add that to the builder, saying that hey, OpenAI chat completion is what gets added to the builder. Now the next step is going to be variable kernel. That's it. That there we have semantic kernel. So we have three things we needed. These three things are added so that we connected the semantic kernel to the model. So now let's test something out, right? Console.log. Let's just talk to the model, right? Console. Oh, I have been writing too much JavaScript lately. Console write line. Okay. Okay, this is a good statement. What is a meetup? So today we are having a meetup. So let's ask this question and then print that to the console, right? And then see what it says, right? Let's run the sample. Give it a moment. It's just a console application. All right. Okay, there you go. All right, loaded up. Why is it taking too much time? I don't know. Maybe I have to shut down the PowerPoint. Okay, there. So a meetup is a gathering or an event. So this is just the chat GPT thing it does, right? As of now, it doesn't do anything fancy. It is the only difference is that we just use semantic kernel to do that. So we did talk to the model. We asked it what a meetup is. It just answered what a meetup is, right? So now let's just make it a little bit more interesting, right? So possibly this is where we are going to pivot a little bit to exploring ourselves, right? So I want to ask the model a few more questions, right? And I want to ask it differently. So yeah, this would be nice. I want to put a break there. Okay, I want to just do a right line. All right, let's do a break there, right? So that every question we ask will have a separation. And let me just put this into a method. Wider. All right, and this is going to go all the way up. Okay. All right, so now here we are. So we have a divider. Now let's write another console log. So now, all right, line. Okay, before that, oh, nice. So even before that, right? Let's actually look into what is this, right? So this just says it's going to invoke a prompt, but do you see the parameters it is taking? It takes a prompt template. It doesn't say it takes a prompt. It takes a prompt template. That's important. The second parameter is a kernel arguments. Let's see what that is, right? So what is a kernel argument? So kernel argument. Okay, let's build a kernel argument and then start from there, right? So variable. All right, let's say kernel argument. Kernel argument. Yeah, this is good. So a kernel argument. We just let's look at what this is, right? A kernel argument new, what it does. Okay, it's gonna go to the definition. Okay, great. Okay, what it does, it takes in a dictionary right? It takes in a dictionary, and the second parameter is optional. Okay, great, fantastic. So this takes in a dictionary where the left side of the dictionary is a name of a variable and the right side is kind of the name of the variable. Okay, great. So now let's try this, right? So what is topic? So now we started leveraging the semantic kernel a little bit. Now I'm going to ask semantic kernel, not a chat GPT type of question. I'm going to ask semantic kernel, what is X? Where X, I can ask X is now meetup. So instead of meetup, I'm going to say Eventbrite here, which is another event platform, right? So let's run it and see what it says. Is it popping up? It's coming up. Okay, that's meetup. That's the first kernel.invoke prompt. The second one is Eventbrite is an online platform designed for creating, promoting, and managing events. So meetup.com is for building events. Eventbrite is also building events. Two competing companies. Nice. Now, what if I say, I'm going to say topic is, instead of saying meetup, console.readline, right? Okay, nice. Now, let's put that variable up here. Now let's see what this guy is going to do. So he's going to wait for us. This time we're going to ask him questions. Oh, before we do that, just a moment. Ask me, okay, console dot write line. Okay, this is good. Ask me a one word or. Okay, good. All right, let's do this. So good. Okay. So what do you like to know? Ask me a one word. Okay. This time I'm gonna ask him what life is. Let's see what it's gonna reply. Oh, there you go. It's a complex and multifaceted phenomenon that is difficult to define with a single. Okay, great. So now we built something where we can ask, not really a one worder. I mean, we say one word there, but we can ask a question and it actually start printing things in here. Now, all right. So far so good, right? So now, yeah, sure. We need to divide our copilot, sure. Okay, so now let's look at the other arguments out there, right? So what does this kernel arguments also has, right? Let's see what it does have. Okay, it has three overloads. Okay, prompt execution settings, and another one is the dictionary. Okay, great. So let's see if we can say an OpenAI. Great. No. OpenAI prompt. Okay, great. So now let's see what it does have. Okay, here you can control the temperature. Here you can control other things. Okay, nice. Max tokens is 100. I don't want to run out of my credit because it has been producing a lot of tokens and these tokens cost a lot of money. I mean, I think at least in the latest model. So I'm going to ask him what life is in 100 tokens. Okay, let's see if that works. All right, let's talk about railroad. Ask me a one worder. We are asking it railroad. So it says, also known as a railway is a system of tracks. Okay, it did cut off at 100 tokens. You see that? So now let's comment this out for the time being, right? Whatever we built so far, and then start shifting the focus a little bit more, right? So now, yeah, let's comment out the first one. It's been producing a lot of text already, which we don't need. Okay, and here, okay. So now we have something called OpenAI prompt execution settings, right? So what other things I can ask him? Let's see. There is a response format, which sounds interesting to me. So that could mean that it can respond in something else. Here you see possible values are JSON object, text, and then chat completion response format. Okay, so let's see what happens if we say JSON object. JSON object. All right. Okay, what is the error? Error is saying that is for evaluation purposes only. Okay. Okay, so Microsoft is warning me saying that this might go away at some point in time, right? So let's say, let's just disable that warning for the time being, right? And then, okay, great. So let's run this. Let's see if this, whatever topic I'm going to give him, he's going to give me a JSON object back. Let's see that. All right, here we are. What do you like to know? Ask me one worder. Okay, so let's ask about tiger. Oh, crash. Okay, what is it saying? Messages must contain the word JSON in some form. So I should actually tell the model that I am expecting a JSON in my prompt as well, not only in the execution setting. So let me do that, right? So let's do this. Can you create a JSON object? So now we set that object with properties. Okay, great. So let's do it and see what happens. Oh, what is a tiger is not really a good word. 1 second. So let's do a who is, right? Who is this? Okay, great. And this one, okay, let's do who is. Okay, let's do this, right? Okay, just give it a moment. All right. Okay, here we go. Who is? Okay, let's ask something interesting, right? Let's ask who is Gandhi. Let's see what it says. Oh, there you go. His name, his date of birth, and things, and it did cut at 100, which I didn't like. So let's take out the max tokens, right? And run it again. Back at it again. Who is this time? Let's change it to the other side of the world. Elon Musk. Okay, let's see what it says. There you go. We asked for JSON, we got JSON. This is cool, isn't it? So, and look at the companies. It's an array, and the array is the companies he started, his Twitter handle, notable projects, Mars colonization. So this is interesting, right? So now, so far what we did is we just so as I said, right, large language models, they just take in tokens, they spit out tokens. Even JSON, what JSON object comes out is just a bunch of tokens, right? So how it understands, how it does is like in generally when we do with ChatGPT, your prompt does have to contain everything, but you can parameterize. Maybe you can now. I don't know. You cannot simply parameterize things and change questions. So now what we built is a little small app which produces JSON about anything you ask for. That's what we built just now. We can ask about who is this, who is that, and it produces JSON for us. That's what we what we just did with Semantic Kernel. So now let's go back to the presentation a little bit, and then come back for a very short demo. It's already 5:35. We have a hard stop at 6 o'clock, right? All right. Okay. So let's go to the where is, oh, I closed it. Okay. PowerPoint. I closed my PowerPoint. Okay. Give it a moment. I thought that's why it's slow. So I closed it. All right. Okay, just forget about the PowerPoint. It does talk about the prompt engineering pieces of it, but at the end of the day, uh, the better we ask questions, we get better results. So let's continue with a little bit more code, right? Okay, here we are, and then let's comment this out. Okay. All right. So what are plugins? So there are us. If you remember correctly, what I said is plugin is just code. Plugin is just C# methods. Is with respect to C#. I don't know about the Java and Python port of it, but plugin is just C# code, existing code, and all it does is it connects the natural language processing system with our existing code. If our existing code can somehow produce natural language, they all get merged together to produce something we want, right? So let's ask semantic kernel some interesting questions which probably doesn't know how to answer, right? So we have kernel.builder. Okay, console. Okay, before we go there, let's see if I have some okay, no, it doesn't have anything. Okay, great. Let's say console.log. No, right line. um, okay, let's ask how many more minutes to 6 p.m. EDT, right? So we will be closing this session at 6 o'clock Eastern. So let's ask this question to the through the kernel, right? So let's see what it answers. So now, all right. So okay. Okay, what does it say? Okay, here. Oh, this is just a console.write line. 1 second. Let me do a wait. Stay. Come on, Copilot, help me out. Dot write line. Wait, making me write everything, right? Okay, this time I'm gonna ask this question. Why is this extra characters in here? We don't want any extra characters. Okay, there you go. Now let's save this, run it, and see. Folks, just give me one moment. My dog is having a moment. Let me just handle it, and I'll be back in 30 seconds. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, I'm back. So yeah, we just asked the kernel a question: how many more minutes to 6 p.m.? Let's see what it answered. Okay, to determine how many more minutes, I need to know the current time. So it doesn't know what I'm talking about. It doesn't know that I'm from Eastern time zone. It doesn't know what my current time is. So if you can provide it, I can help calculate the difference for you. Okay, great. Let's provide it. Current. Okay, let's do this. Current EDT time is, it's actually 5:41 p.m. Let's say it's 4 p.m. Let's see what it says. Okay, there we go. It's, if it's say it's I believe it's gonna say 120 minutes. 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, 60 minutes, another 60 minutes. The total is 120 minutes. So it still doesn't know what the current time is. It's actually 5:42 p.m. Okay, let's write a small plugin to help this guy understand what my current time is, right? So let's see, how do we actually do that? In order to do that, we need an existing code. As I said, a plugin is an existing code or a code you are going to write. Okay, what just happened? Okay, what is it doing? Okay, Copilot is building something fancy for me. I don't want any of that. So let's say time machine. I'm going to create a time machine, right? Okay, here we go. I'm going to say I have a property, get current UTC time is datetime.utc now dot to string. All right. Okay, public string. Missed that. Okay, so I have a small C# function here using the short syntax. It's just a C# function. So I'm going to tell the model that you can find current time using, all right, let's see if this guy understands me. Time machine dot this. Okay, I have to tell him it's UTC. You can find the current UTC time using this. Now I'm going to ask it how many more minutes to 6 p.m. ADT, right? Okay, let's save this. Let's run this and let's see what happens. All right. Crashed. The plugin collection does not know this plugin, that this is a plugin. Okay. So when you see this type of messages, means that the semantic kernel didn't really understand that the class I already have, existing class I already have is a plugin. I want to use it like a plugin. So we may have to add few lines of code, decorate it, tell that, hey, we have an existing class, but it's actually a plugin now from now onwards, right? So this is our existing class. So what we're going to say is we're going to call it as kernel function. Okay, that's number one, right? Number two is, all right, why is this guy not valid in declaration? It's only valid on method declarations. Okay, is it not a method? Okay, no, if no, okay, we will get back to it. All right, let's do another thing. Let's help the model with a description stating that, okay, what is it? This method, this function retrieves current UTC time, right? Okay, so okay, now let's see this. Yeah, why is it attribute? It's not valid declaration. It's only valid on method declarations. We have to time machine string. Yeah, probably that's the reason you forgot the parentheses. Okay, so now we have a kernel function current time. So this is the extra thing we used, and most of these attributes on these functions and methods are decorators helps the kernel to understand that, hey, now it's a plugin, right? So let's call it, yeah, let's not call it a plugin. So let's just we don't want to call it a time machine plugin. We want to use the existing code, and the existing code was to find the current time, right? Current UTC time. Let's see what it says now. All right, crash again. What is it saying this time? The plugin collection still doesn't know. Okay, this plugin name, function name. Okay, let's see. Why is it still doesn't know? Oh, right. We didn't tell the kernel that it's actually a plugin, right? There you go. Copilot suggests that. So I'm telling the builder, the kernel builder, right? In the plugins, you should be able to find a plugin. So this is just the class name, right? The name of the class, the type, and that is here. So now the whole parcel is connected, is what I believe. I hope it doesn't crash no more. And now it should be able to locate this plugin because I told the kernel that there is a plugin. Its name is Time Machine. I told the get current UTC time that, hey, you are a kernel function. Also, your description states that you're going to retrieve the current UTC time. Now let's see if it can do that. There you go. Fingers crossed. All right. All right. How many minutes? 468 minutes and 54 seconds. Why? Okay, let's look into what we did. Time machine dot current UTC time. Okay, let's say change this here. Current UTC time is this, right? How many more minutes? Okay, let's see about models. Prompts are very important, and if it doesn't clearly understand what we are talking about, it's going to give wrong results, right? So this is going to, what is it going to returns? Current UTC time. It returns current use. Okay. What do we say here? Current time in UTC. It still doesn't work. Our demo failed. And it did calculate something crazy. Okay, between two time, so therefore it is 970 minutes from the current UTC time. Why? plus 840 minutes. How did it come up with 840 minutes? Determine how the difference convert PM to UTC minus 4 hours, 2 p.m. UTC. Current UTC time is 9:50 p.m. UTC, May 23, 2024. That's probably wrong. Current UTC time, why? Okay. Let's print this out. Now we are losing time too. Okay. Console dot write line variable TC time and okay, let Copilot write it for me. Console dot write line current UTC time is this. Okay, variable string. Not all code paths return a value. That is true. Return UTC time. Okay, let's do this. Okay, it's still wrong. Okay, for the we don't have a lot of minutes left to tweak around. So let's get to I want to give 5 minutes for questions. So I just want to quickly show something I built, which is an agent. So before we go there, I just want to show what an agent is. I just want to tell what an agent is. So an agent is built of three things. As we said, the existing plugin, so existing code is the plugin, which we already know. Second is persona, which is like whom you are is persona. So sometimes you can say, hey model, talk in doctor's terms, as is persona. And the third one is the plugins, the persona and a plan. The third one is a plan. Plan is nothing but steps. So the beauty of semantic kernel is beyond plugins. Okay, with plugins you can do a lot of things, but beyond plugins, what you can do is you can have a lot of plugins, and the text goes in and comes out, can go back to the model, come back, it can take more information and come back and things like that. So if you look into this, so let me just comment this code out, right? 1 second. I don't want to it's all top statements. So I just want to say build action is none. And I'm going to say this one is demo. All right. So I just want to show the agent I built. This one I have to, all right. So right here, I want C# compiler to compile this. Okay, fantastic. So now, this is, as I said, there is a planner, there is plugin and persona. So the persona, you say you are a friendly assistant. I'm just telling semantic kernel using a chat history that you are an assistant who likes to follow rules. You will complete the steps and required approvals and things like that, and you will ask questions. That's the most important thing. If the user doesn't provide enough information, you will ask questions. So this agent I built is an agent who is an expert in planning meetup and Eventbrite events, like tech events, right? Like today's event. And this agent will plan for that and send out emails to people who do talk in events like me. It generates the email body and things like that, right? So now, as you could see here, it's a while through. That means that it's a continuous loop. And we have plugins. This is an email plugin which actually sends the email. we have a planner, which is the steps, and inside the steps you could see these descriptions are very important. The language model wouldn't understand what we're talking about if we don't provide the description. It uses these tokens to know what it is going to do or what it is instructed to do. So here it says the requirements are a 2-3 sentence description of what the event is, a description of the speaker recipient. So the agent is supposed to send emails to potential speakers for the next event. And okay, so it says that okay, sure. All right, so this is the planner, this is the plugin, and this is the connection. You see, we are just feeding that to the section of builder, and then this is the history, which is the context and the persona for the agent. So if we run this, all right, okay. Okay, it's a while true loop. It's never ending loop, right? So it's gonna ask a question. So what the user is gonna ask is, I'm the user, can you create an email subject for me to plan for my next tech event. I would like to send this email to potential speakers. Okay, let me correct this because the language is very important, right? And English is not my strong forte. Can you create an email? So this is gonna, can you write an email subject to plan for my next tech talk event? So let's see what it says. Before I proceed, could you provide me with a brief description of the tech talk event and some information about the potential speaker recipients? Okay. Okay, let me answer that question. Okay, the talk is about Microsoft Semantic Kernel and its ability to orchestrate AI models. Okay, now, okay, got it. And could you provide a brief potential speaker recipients? Okay, great. Okay, let me give a speaker recipient address at xyz.com. Okay, and comma, let's say John Doe at abc.com. All right, great. I now have enough information to craft an email for you. How about invitation to speak, exploring Microsoft Semantic Kernel and AI model orchestration? Is this email subject okay for you? Would you like any changes? Actually, no. All right, I'll send an email to your potential speakers about planning for the next Tech Talk event. Please confirm if you would like me to proceed with the email subject. And could you provide the body of the email so that you would like to include? Can you write an email body for me? Okay, that's a question. Let's see what it says. Sure, there you go. See, it did produce an email subject. It did produce an email body for, say, dear somebody, I'm excited to announce this is the date I'm planning for it, and all of that, right? So now I'm gonna say make it a bit more shorter. Okay. All right. So email body is shorter now. Now it looks good to me. Can you send it? email sent. This email sent is coming from this plugin. So that this is where the actual beauty of the semantic kernel lies in, that you can actually create steps. You can actually orchestrate the whole plugins and the LLMs and personas and all of that, and then it just stands in the middle to do the job for you. So you can connect with the existing code. Instead of email send, you would be just maybe calling SendGrid API here. Instead of this, you would be calling your own API here, right? Or you would be producing JSON to call your API here, whatever that is, right? So with that, I conclude this. If anyone have any questions, you can quickly answer that, and then Bala, back at you.
Thank you, Anish. That was a good demo. A lot of new things that learned. Let's see if we have any questions. I did see one question from Yesdas. Eduardo replied, but I will just put it on the screen for you to answer.
What would happen if we didn't pass the response format as an argument and still use the same prompt? I think the prompt needs the word JSON in it. That's what it crashed and complained to us. It said it needs, and these things are changing as we actually suppress the warning using a pragma. So these things are changing. This is very, very new, right? It may not be there tomorrow, the response format JSON thing. We just used it for the purpose of the demo.
Okay, that's perfect. That's anyone else have anything? We'll be happy to answer here. Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you for having me, Bala.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for joining us. See you next month with another wonderful topic. Thank you, Anish, for taking your time and coming and presenting in that.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.